So, Bob, can you introduce yourself? Tell our audience who you are and what you do.
Bob Goldfarb. I'm a certified public accountant, certified fraud examiner, certified professional specialist, as well as a financial planner. I'm also managing partner of the firm Schoenfeld Mendelsohn Goldfarb, located in Woodbury, New York. The firm has a total of 4 partners. We have a staff of approximately 12. We don't specialize in any particular industry, but we have an expertise in virtually every business. We're very well-rounded in that regard, and the business has been around for practically 50 years.
Well, and I see that you are an expert at helping small businesses succeed and were Business Person of the Year when you were president of the Chamber of Commerce. Tell us a little bit about that.
When I was president of the Great Neck Chamber of Commerce, they elected me as Business Person of the Year one of the years after I was president because of the work that I did for them. I did a lot of work in the community, obviously. I was also president of the National Conference of CPA Practitioners, which is a national organization of professional CPAs working in the public arena. I'm also a member of the Governing Council of the American Institute of CPAs, which is also a national organization.
I see. Now, it seems to me that somebody in your position, both as a CPA but also as the president of your Chamber of Commerce, you really have an opportunity to look at a lot of businesses and understand how technology can affect those businesses. And we're here today to talk about what you've done with CMIT in your business. Tell me first off, before you met Armando of CMIT, what was the technology set up as far as your company was concerned? What was working, what wasn't working?
We've been computerized, obviously, for many, many years, but we didn't have an adequate server system, and it was going down quite a bit. We did have backup systems. I was never confident that we were, in fact, being backed up properly. We had had some crashes and really couldn't retrieve the documents that we needed, and obviously it was very depressing to me. So once I met Armando, I expressed some of the concerns that I had. So we've been very, very happy with the relationship and what Armando has done for us.
When you say that your servers would go down, how long would they go down? How often would they go down?
They went down, I would say, on average of once or twice a month. And for a business like ours to be out of touch with our computers and our database and our ability to process a tax return, it cuts us off tremendously. Generally, I was the first one in the office, and I'd noticed that I couldn't get email or I couldn't get online, and I would have to call our IT tech, and they would take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, maybe longer, to come and fix the computer, and the whole office was now looking for alternative work, and the work that we had planned to do that day was put off, which is a very costly scenario for us. We couldn't deal with that, obviously, and our clients seem to want answers quicker now than they ever did before, and we couldn't get access to our computers, so we couldn't give them the answers that they wanted.
Right. So if we were going to try to figure out just what you think an outage like that might cost a business, what would you, being a conservative guy, give an estimate to any business listening? You got 20 people in an office, they're going to be down a couple times a month, maybe, as much as 3 to 6 hours, and they're going to have to find other work that they can do. What do you think the financial impact of that might be?
Our billing rates averaged anywhere between $85 an hour and $400 an hour. Take a blended rate of even, say, $250 an hour down by 20 people times twice a month times 6 hours each time. I mean, you're talking a tremendous amount of money. But it wasn't even that, because a lot of that time, fortunately or unfortunately, just meant that the staff had to work later. So it was a matter of efficiency. It was a matter of making them do work after hours that they really didn't want to do, and they were already busy, especially during tax season. So it put a tremendous strain on the staff personnel when they thought they were going to get home and when, in fact, they actually did get home. It's not just a matter of the money that we potentially lost. It was the goodwill of the employees as well.
Right. Tell us a little bit about backup systems, because this is something I wish I could somehow get a hold of every small business in particular and talk to them, because almost everybody has some kind of backup. I mean, I don't think I've interviewed anybody that said, well, we just didn't back up. We didn't think it was necessary. I mean, everybody did something, but almost everybody that I've interviewed, is the most common comment is, well, we thought we had backups. We thought we were doing it.
And so did we. We backed up, and we've had situations where we've had to restore, and the restore was corrupted or really wasn't adequate. For our clients, it's potentially even worse because we don't know what the client has done. At least in our own business, we did have paper backups, and we were very, very paper intensive because we were fearful of the backups. We just didn't really trust them. So we knew that we needed paper backups of everything. So that cost us storage.
Oh, so you're doing double work.
We were definitely doing double work. We were fearful that the backups were not working properly. So we did protect ourselves because we had the fiduciary responsibility to our clients. Clients don't necessarily feel that they need to back up with paper, and therefore they rely on the computers. And then when it comes time to do their tax returns, or if there's an IRS audit or a state audit, they don't have the records. So then the IRS has the upper hand and will just assess any kind of tax that they want. So the records are critical, and clients found many times that they didn't, in fact, have adequate backups. I'm not a tech person, so I took the word of the technician saying that, yeah, we're backing up. And I found out when I did need the system restored that I didn't have the records that I wanted. But CMIT coming in, and Armando came in and he explained to me that these are the files that I have to look for, and that he is showing me that they are being backed up not only on our internal systems, but on external systems. And yeah, we have a lot of internal backup systems. But if there's a flood or if there's a hurricane, which occurred here last tax season, and a lot of accounting firms got washed out. They lost a lot of their records, a lot of their computers. And if it wasn't for the off-site backups that we encourage all our clients to have, we would have been completely lost. We know of a lot of accounting firms in New Jersey, upstate New York, and on Long Island that totally got wiped out and were out of business for several days because they didn't have proper backups and proper backup systems.
Well, and as a CPA, you probably know a lot of those firms that have that problem never reopen.
And they never reopen, yes.
Right.
It's that
Right.
You know, they can never recover from that. They don't have the processes in place. Once you have a devastation of that nature, how do you recover from that?
There was a time when you thought your previous IT person was backing up. Why do you know that CMIT is now backing up your stuff properly and you're not going to get surprised down the line? I mean, what lets you sleep at night?
First of all, we have full faith in Armando and CMIT. We've been with them for many years, and we've had issues where we've needed recovery backups, and everything has been in place. Armando gives me monthly reports showing me exactly what is where and what the backups are. And I get calls from Armando constantly saying that something is down or this or that, and that he's repaired them remotely, not due to computer problems, but unfortunately we have our internet with a provider that's not as good as we would like, and he's encouraged us to change it, but we just have not done that yet. But he's on top of that all the time, he and his staff, and we know when there's an issue, and he repairs it as quickly as possible.
Well, now you're talking about Marathon, the system that really protects your server and keeps things up and running. I mean, you were saying it was happening as much as twice a month with your old provider, that your systems were going down. Since you've gone on Marathon, what's been your experience?
The only thing that has ever gone down is our internet.
Wow, that's a big change.
But yeah, it's a very big change. And again, it's not the computer system that's causing the internet to go down. It's the internet provider.
Did you have secure remote access before CMIT started working with you?
We had limited access to that, but we were using gotomypc.com.
Some people say now working at home is almost the same as working at their office with this kind of remote access that CMIT provides. Is that an exaggeration?
No, I don't think so. I do a lot of work at home, and this past weekend was a holiday weekend, and I was able to send some files to my partners, and they said, well, obviously you were working over the weekend, and I didn't go into the office at all. So I was able to do it on my schedule. I didn't have to spend half an hour driving to the office, half an hour driving back from the office, but I still got the work done, and I did it under my terms. So I love to work at home now. We have a client actually that lives in Utah and has his business, which he owns, located in New York. And he is totally on top of the system. He lives where he wants to. He's in a different time zone. So he accesses the records when it's convenient for him because he's able to work in a completely different time zone than his primary business. He actually covers the country with people all over. So he has saved himself a tremendous amount of money and increased his bottom line tremendously. We see this through the records. We know this is a fact.
So, Bob, I mean, you've worked with a lot of businesses. What would you tell them about technology, and what are some of the things that they should be thinking about in terms of using technology in their business?
I guess for us, going the next step is what I would certainly consider for a lot of our clients as well. We are going to the next step with a paperless system. We've reduced the amount of paper in our office, which has saved us a tremendous amount of money in terms of what we have to store and where we have to store it. We have 2 off-premise storage units, which we pay a tremendous amount of money for each month. So those storage units will be reduced because we're going to use digital imaging. But we're also looking now into doing dual monitors for all of our staff people so that they can be looking at last year's tax returns and working on the current year's tax returns at the same time and still use one computer system.
Now, wait a second. I can hear a lot of business owners saying, what, you want me to put 2 monitors on? That just seems like a luxury. Why can't they just look at one? I mean, what did you do to do the cost-benefit analysis to figure out that investing to have 2 monitors was going to be better than them flipping back and forth? Do you have any idea?
First of all, the cost of a second monitor is very little these days. You're talking about a second card in the computer and a second monitor on the desk, which doesn't even take up that much space of these flat screens at this point. But that's almost old technology for us. We're looking at putting 3 monitors on some of the desks because the staff people are so much more efficient looking at 2 tax returns at once without having to open up files, going to the files, getting staff to locate files. It's all in the computer system. We just call up the client's last year's tax return, which is stored PDF in our computer system, and then they start working on the current year's tax return on the second computer. It's so much less space on the desk, and it's right on their screen. We've tracked it with time. We've tracked it with the efficiency, and we also don't have to maintain the paper. Our paper costs are down tremendously, as well as our printing costs are down tremendously.
Well, tell me about Armando and his work with you at CMIT, because there are a lot of IT people that can make computers run, they can handle a screwdriver, they can install software. But when it comes to really thinking strategically about your practice and how to improve your practice, not just to make computers run, the stuff you're talking about now sounds like that kind of strategic advice. Do you rely on him, or do you bring him all the ideas?
No. 80% of the ideas, frankly, Armando brings to us. We have periodic meetings with Armando, and we do have an appointment for next week to go over our equipment needs for next tax season. He's not always quick to sell me something. He's honest with me. He tells me when I don't need to buy something new. He tells me when I do need to buy something new, and the trust level is totally there. I've known him now for about 3 years. I refer him to every one of my clients and every one of my accounting friends, and every one of them have spoken about Armando in glowing terms. He's responsive. His staff is knowledgeable.
Tell me about his staff. We mentioned a lot about Armando, but what's his staff like? Anybody there that you work with that you find particularly helpful?
Janine is the so-called gatekeeper in the office. She's always very pleasant. She always answers the phones, and I don't know how technical she is, but she certainly seems to know a lot of the answers when we call up. She can respond to a lot of our problems, but if she can't, the 2 people that I always deal with are Steve and John when Armando's not available. Both of them are terrific. If necessary, they come to my office. The response time is incredible. I mean, they're very, very good about it if necessary, but they try to resolve every issue right from their office, so it saves me time. It also saves me money because I don't have to pay for them to travel up to my office and back. So they're always looking to be more efficient for us. Armando and I always meet, and we always speak about different options. I'm not a technical guy, so I don't have the capability of knowing what's new and what's out there that would make my office more efficient. But Armando and CMIT does, and we rely on them totally for that. Well, I'd never hesitate to refer Armando or CMIT to anybody. They've certainly improved our systems. They improved our efficiency, and we're very, very happy with what they've done. And I know my friends are very comfortable with Armando, and they say the same thing. And they keep referring Armando and his staff to their clients as well. So I've never heard anything negative about any work he's ever done.